Hello and welcome to the iRacing Grand Prix Series here from Indianapolis for week 11 of the season. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Marco Barbanera with Scott Newton on the cameras. And after witnessing a fantastic World Championship Grand Prix race yesterday, Marco, it just builds more excitement for this one with several of the drivers that we saw yesterday taking part in this event.
Absolutely. Hello everyone and welcome. It's going to be another fantastic race here at Indianapolis with 35 degrees track temperature, so quite similar to yesterday. The conditions, a lot of wind, the unique feature of the high banked corner of turn 1 of the oval. These drivers will have to deal with this, and of course the more, let's say, easy, quiet infield section, all in preparation if you want to make a pass for that corner, and of course turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw lots of moves down there yesterday, and currently in the qualifying, Kevin Estre currently got pole position, just ahead of Harrison Finch, and we've also got Ricardo Orozco in the session as well. So yeah, a really good lineup for us today. 13 drivers, and of course the strategy yesterday, Marco, was really interesting. The Apex Racing UK drivers really pulling off a good strategy. The one stopper at Imola, we saw the zero stopper pulled off by Kazuki Mishima, and with such a long pit lane round here, I feel as though the no stopper could be an option again for these guys.
Yeah, of course we're running a shorter race today in comparison to yesterday, and this is, I think, the longest pit lane in all of iRacing. So you want to keep your time with the limiter on to as little as possible, and maybe we will see some crazy driver try the zero stopper, or otherwise it's going to be a one stopper for everyone else.
Yeah, I think so. And just loading up the standings right now. So it's Matteo Calistani currently leading the championship. However, that could be due to the fact that he's got 8 weeks counted compared to Harrison Finch's 7. The gap between those two drivers is 60 points. Finch has kind of had the edge on Calistani through the season. It'll be interesting if he can build on that today. Victor Prieto is in third, still within half a chance of the championship victory, with Manu Domingo and Stefan Schmidt and Ivan Rudko just below the 1,000-point mark. But yeah, we've seen Harrison Finch drive really well so far this season, Marco. Also, Matteo Calistani. Of course, this series, of course, a lot of controversy to necessarily what its purpose is, but certainly for those guys at least, it's all about building up for the qualifiers for next season. And I must say, those two drivers in particular are looking really good for that World Championship Grand Prix Series bid.
They are, and next season is going to be, of course, of crucial importance, and it's going to be, of course, controversial, because we know that the series will switch to a fixed setup, and let's say that the crowd reaction has been mixed, to say the least. So it remains to be seen what is going to happen next season, but we are going to enjoy the final 2 races of the season, of course, today and next Sunday from Circuit of the Americas with the open setup, and then we will see what happens with the official Road to Pro Series.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, we'll be able to cover this series next season, but nothing's quite confirmed yet. But yeah, we certainly do love broadcasting this series. At least the race lengths aren't changing too much either for next season. Should stay these 2 third-length races. We've currently got about 30 more seconds in this qualifying session to go. Of course, the drivers have to complete their lap times within the allotted time. And of course, Kevin Ellis Jr. yesterday, Marco, was really strong because he pulled off that one stop, but did have a bit of a spin. If it weren't for that, he would have that cost him about 7 seconds. In the end, he still came home in 6th place. He has currently got pole position by just 1/10 of a second over Harrison Finch. So I'm hoping that those two are going to be really evenly matched. But from this season, you have kind of seen the World Championship status of Kevin S. Jr. maybe just paying the price over Harrison Finch. There's usually quite a big gap between those two drivers.
Yeah, and Kevin Ellis Jr., of course, yesterday wasn't really happy about his performance, so he He wants to redeem himself, and like you see now on your screen, is in pole position for this race.
Yeah, he's on pole position with Harrison Finch alongside him on the front row with Riccardo Orozco starting in 3rd place. Then it's quite a big gap back to Chris Allen. We haven't seen him around this season, so good to see more drives. He was only 3 thousandths ahead of Andreas Hajinava. Oh dear, that's going to be I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Sorry, Andreas. Then it's Rinaldo Augusto starting in 6th, Marco Numela in 7th. Then it's Pablo Lumburas Suarez, Alan Morgan, Christian Vitsima, David Cudmore, Donald Arthur, and Alex Ortega rounding out the 13-car field. Just got a couple more just to get on the grid. I think that is everyone. So, here we go. Indianapolis. Week 11 of the series. And away we go. Kevin S. Jr. with an awesome start. It's a fantastic start from Chris Oon as well. Going round the outside, he might even be able to challenge Harrison Finch. Already gained 1 position as Alan, but he's not going to gain 2. He's just slots into 3rd position there. Roscoe just sitting in behind with Augusto just running a little bit wide, and maybe Andreas will be able to find a way through. There hasn't been too much movement out there. Bit of a poor start for Pablo Lumbares Suarez. I don't know if you saw what happened to him there, Marco. He's dropped down to 12th straight off the start from 8th on the grid.
I think just a bad getaway, because looking at the back of the field as I usually do during the start, I didn't see anything strange happen. No contacts, nothing like that. A great start from Ellis. Finch is closing, is following close behind. Aun and Orozco are making a little bit of a gap between themselves and Algi Varnava in 5th place, Augusto Nurmela and Morgan following behind them. So it's going to be a short lap. We talked about it yesterday at length, and it's going to be a lap where you have to be patient and wait for your chance. Your chance is going to be this, the in IndyCar first corner, as we see already a move for 3rd place there, and a move that is successful. So we have a change for position now, and in 3rd place we have Riccardo Orozco, who just overtaken Chris Aoun into the first corner, before the first corner actually, and now he will try to hunt down Harrison Finch.
Yeah, that was an awesome move there from Riccardo. Well, I say awesome, it was very simple. There wasn't really much defense put up by Chris. There wasn't really anything he could do there. Seemingly the battery deployment maybe, but Chris needed to play a little bit too much battery on the run down into turn 1, and left him very, very vulnerable there. And he's dropped down into 4th position now. How do you pronounce car number 10's name, Marco? You're the foreign commentator here. This is the reason why we hired you, to pronounce complicated names. And Alexandros...
Should be Alexandros Agivarnava, if I'm not mistaken.
Agivarnava,
I
okay.
think he's from Cyprus, but I could be wrong.
Thanks for that. I really need it. From someone who's from Norfolk in the UK, you know, foreign names are not our strength, let's say. Kevin S. Jr., meanwhile, leading by 1.1 seconds from Harrison Finch. That gap just pulling away a little bit, 4 tenths faster on that last lap was Kevin Ellis Jr., because we have to wait to see what strategies these guys deploy, because the zero stopper, which hasn't really been tried too much this season, surely is an option for these drivers, particularly Kevin Ellis Jr., who managed to go very far yesterday, went some 34 laps, I believe, 48 laps in this one. So it's not going to be easy, but of course, such a long pit lane round here. Maybe that will be an option for these drivers. Currently, the closest battle out there is Augusto versus Numela. 6 tenths between those drivers. And actually, I just look at it, and it's getting really close. And actually, Haji Navarro actually managed to drop off a little bit as well. So those 3 now running really close to one another in 5th, 6th, and 7th positions. Okay, we can't change the cameras at the moment, but yeah, we'll keep you up to date with any changes. There haven't been any changes for position currently, but yeah, Kevin S. Jr. still running well there in 1st position, and on that last lap, another 2 tenths of a second pull down. And actually, Roscoe is keeping relatively close tabs as well, with Chris very much on by himself in terms of his lap time. That's the top 4 for you.
So we talked about it yesterday, and you were also involved in a GT race at Daytona in the infield circuit. it's important to be and remain in the draft of the car in front, because if you have the same pace and you are not in the draft anymore, it's difficult to close that gap. So we'll see these drivers try to stay in the DRS zone as much as possible, even though you see there are not many cars in the DRS zone. I think it's going to be Agevernava, Augusto, and Nurmela right now, all within each other's DRS zone, except for, of course, Agevernava, who is the first car of this group, of this pack. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult because there are not many corners where you can really make a difference around here.
Yeah, we talked about yesterday kind of the downforce packages from the different drivers. And because we really saw that yesterday, I think Kowando in particular, much to the expense of Gregor Hutsu, unfortunately, were running very, very low downforce, just making them almost unpassable for the red line driver. And in the end, I think Peter Bayman's one-stopper really did work out, because I don't think he was going to be able to challenge them down the straights. But that just shows, you know, the difference of setups you can do around here, Marco. You need the confidence through this infield section, because it is very tight and twisty. It's corner after corner. But if you've got great straight line speed with the DRS only activated for the second half of the pit straight, there's very little a high downforce car can do to overtake you into turn one.
Absolutely, and it's going to, of course, provide the DRS is going to provide a massive help for these drivers when they try to make a move. I have to say, you know, we have seen a thing that's been a problem even in real life. In some tracks, the DRS is absolutely overpowered, like here, and in some other tracks, the DRS is absolutely useless, like Silverstone, for example. So it would be nice to have a balance, you know, and give the driver in front maybe the chance to defend himself. I'm a big proponent of having the DRS, remove the DRS activation zone, just keep maybe, yeah, the place where you can use it, like the front stretch and the back stretch, and give the drivers, for example, a set amount of times in which they can open the rear wing during the race, because otherwise the guy in front is absolutely yeah, he can use hybrid power to defend himself, but so can the driver behind him. So in the end, he is always going to be at a disadvantage. It is not very fair, and I absolutely hate overtakes that are only made possible by DRS. So something has to change. Now we see with the new cars with the bigger wings, DRS is a bit less powerful, but still in some places like Paul Ricard, if you remember the race, or today, if you guys at home are going to follow the real life event from Spa-Francorchamps, you're going to see, I think, the DRS is going to play a huge part in the Camel Straight for making overtakes at Lecombe then.
What? Sorry for the technical issues, just having some issues with our software, but just looking at the at what's happened, Marco Numella has moved up into the top 4, so a bit of an issue, I think, for Chris Alm, and yeah, he's dropped back slightly. Yeah, 1 minute 10.3 for him on that last lap, something second off the pace from the other drivers around him. And yeah, must have been a mistake or something there, Marco, or maybe just struggling for pace at the moment out there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Chris.
Yeah, also Alex Ortega has crashed out of the race, and so did Reinaldo Augusto, if I'm not mistaken. So we have 2 retirements so far. And Harrison Finch is putting purple sectors in the first and third sector this time around, and he's closing a bit on Kevin Harris Jr. Actually, he's in the DRS zone right now, so it's going to be an interesting run towards the first corner in the next few laps, because I think that Finch has got better tire life on his car.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on what these guys are doing, because I've got a feeling as though Kevin Harris Jr. might just be saving his tyres as much as possible to pull off that 0 stop, whereas Harrison Finch may well be thinking of the 2 stop. But pretty much Finch has just got to do the opposite of Ellis Jr., I think. I think that would probably make sense for him, just because I don't think he's got the same pace as the Apex Racing UK driver. But yeah, right now he's certainly keeping tabs with him. Hopefully they are on the same strategy, because if they are, then they've got very, very even pace at the moment. If they are going to pit, of course, about lap 22, 23 would be the time to do it. And will be fascinating to see what strategies these guys deploy. Of course, we have seen a little bit of chat on the stream, Marco, about the potential strategy. Jamie Fluke reckoning that maybe a 1 stop would be a 0 stop would be very possible, with Mac back and maybe not going for it. So yeah, will be fascinating to see if Kevin S Jr. can pull that off after struggling a little bit with it yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, if even those great drivers are uncertain about the strategy to use today, we are like, I mean, it's impossible for us to take it, have the right opinion, no? So it's going to be, of course, a matter of how much the driver is able to save the tires and to conserve the fuel. I mean, yesterday we saw the 1-stop guys really struggling towards the end of their first stint, especially with the heavier car. And like you said in the beginning, Kevin also had an off that cost him some valuable seconds towards the end of his first stint. So we'll see. Maybe he's learned the lesson. Maybe he knows that this being the IGPS race and not the World Championship race, the pace expected from him to keep his position with destroyed tires is a bit slower than what was required yesterday, of course, with all the World Championship drivers in the running. And now I see that he has been able to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Finch. So it was 0.7 of a second a lap ago, now it's 1.4 seconds. So he's been able to push, I think, for the past lap and get back to a relatively comfortable margin over P2.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds the gap now, and I think it was just a mistake maybe from Harrison Finch there. Surprising that Roscoe's dropped off quite as much as he has done. He's now 7 seconds off the top 2, but again, will he be deploying a contrary strategy to the top 2? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Kevin S Jr. still running very well at the moment, out in the lead of this event.
Identical lap times between himself and Finch, with Orozco 4/10 slower, 3/10 slower to be precise, and then a huge gap behind to Nurmela, Givernava, Aun, Ritsema, and all the other guys following in position from 4 and backwards. So it remains, I think, the duel we have to follow is this, I wouldn't say long distance battle, but they are not extremely close, between Finch and Ellis, and of course keep an eye on their strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be fundamental to this event. I'm just rewinding my replay to see what happened to Rinaldo Augusto. And yeah, just ran wide at turn 1, off the grass, and in the end impacted Hajj Navarro. So yeah, that's how those two were involved in a collision. That's why, and Alexandros is a little bit further down the field than he was, dropping down into P5 with Marco Numella managing to move up into the top 4 earlier on. Apart from that, it's been relatively... So when we do usually see good driving standards in this series, Marco, the drivers are very well respected, and of course it's open wheelers. Everyone knows that contacting these cars is not a wise idea. And yeah, the driving standards, particularly at the front of the field, tends to be very high in this series.
Absolutely. And, you know, when, of course, we can have World Championship drivers running in the regular IGPS, it's always, I think, good for these drivers that are trying to get there, because they can see the difference in pace, the difference in tire saving, fuel saving that these get between what they do and what these professionals do. So, whilst I think it's going to be a bit of a bummer for the on-track show, it's certainly a good learning experience from these drivers, and we know with the switch to a fixed setup, racecraft is going to be absolutely important next season, because you cannot work any kind of magic on the car. You have to be good while driving. It's going to be your only point of focus next season, if indeed the series will switch to a fixed setup as it has been proposed, or should I say announced by iRacing. So, but we know things can change between now and the start of next season, so it's going to be a bit of a waiting game. So even though it's official, I wouldn't say it's going to be 100% sure, but if it does happen, racecraft is going to be put in the premier spot, and that's where these drivers will need to get better if they want to reach that World Championship level.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we'll certainly give them a different challenge. It's been really interesting to see the feedback from the drivers. It's about 50-50. There was a little bit of a poll on the forums to whether or not people wanted fixed or not. And I think fixed was winning about 52%. So it is really a divisive topic, really. And hopefully, of course, we see a bit of an upturn in participation. Of course, this is the strength of field race, and only 13 drivers turning up. So, of course, there's need to be some change, at least fixed setup. Whether that's the right idea or not, yeah, you can make your own minds up. If you've got any opinions on the topic, certainly let us know in the chat. Because yeah, it would be great to get any opinions out there. But still, Kevin Jr. leading this race, 1.7 seconds ahead of Harrison Finch now, so just edging out that gap. Finch was a tenth faster on the last lap. On this lap, through the middle sector, Finch pulling out 1/10. So it is just a bit of a cat and mouse game at the moment. And of course, we wait to see how much tire saving they are doing. And actually, a bit of a mistake from Finch. Don't know if you saw that, Marco, but he's just dropped about close to a second, about 7/10 of a second.
I was looking at the timing screen, so I missed that, but I saw the sudden drop in, the sudden increase of the gap between the two drivers. So now 2.3 seconds, 2.4 seconds, 109.1, sorry. So, yeah, that was a big mistake there, and Kevin Ellis Jr. doesn't need any kind of help, I think, in getting, to the checkered flag in first position. But good learning experience for Finch, I would say so. It's going to be angry with himself, but he's going to try and get back to Ellis if he can. Of course, you know, the pace is extremely similar, lap in and lap out, but maybe Kevin has been able to get that extra, squeeze that extra tenth of a second because of his great World Championship experience. Of course, like we said, this track doesn't provide many opportunities for the driver to really make a difference. It's a short lap, it's a very flat layout, so it's difficult to make it count for you as a big-time driver to make the a difference during the lap and put like 2-3 tenths of a second between yourself and your opponent.
Yeah, just looking back at that mistake from Finch, I think it was actually a slowdown. So I think it was maybe coming out of this next corner. I think he ran maybe a little bit wide. I think he might get a slowdown for that, but he was very kind of cautious through the next kind of triple corners just coming up. So clearly was trying to just slow down, serve the slowdown. And yeah, he didn't get a penalty, which would have been a whole lot worse around a circuit like this. Such a long pit lane. Oh, and Dennis Jr. just getting a bit of a slide on. If he is saving the tyres, Marco, didn't look like he was right there.
Yeah, and considering that we are not even halfway through the race, because this next one will be lap 22 and we have a 48 lap race, so still a couple of laps away from halfway through the race today. And if you're already struggling with tires, which I don't think, just I think a little bit of a mistake there, a lapse in concentration from Kevin. But now Kevin is going to be dealing with the lap cars, because I think that he's going to be Cadmore right in front of him.
And we now have Orozco into the pit, so he's the first one to blink. He's going on the one stopper clearly. And yeah, so this is lap 21 he pitted on. So yeah, pretty early, but of course 27 laps on a set of tyres. Should be relatively simple. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but to be honest, it's going to be difficult for Ricciardo really to do too much out there, because he was very much in a space of his own. And now we just have to wait to see what these top two do. They don't really have to cover up on Ricciardo, because of course the undercut won't be too effective around here. Ricciardo was a long way off. And of course on fresh tyres, they'll be able to make the moves. Kevin S. Jr. is into the pits. So at least, Marco, that means that... Oh, and has he hit the wall there, Marco?
Oh, he was extremely close, and Finch is coming in right now. I tell you what, I think he brushed the wall there, and it's going to be interesting to see if he damaged the front left and if he damaged the front wing, because he's going to, well, in the first case, big problem for his race, and in the second case, he's going to lose some unnecessary seconds in the pits.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at it, and he so nearly... Oh, did he? I think he did hit the front wing there. I see some... Yeah, he hit the front wing, and I think he may have to retake a new front wing. Did he? I'm not sure. I don't think he did he? He took a 4-second pit stop. Well, there was certainly some damage from my camera view, but yeah, I don't know if that actually was real or not. So, wow, that was pretty close for Kevin S. Jr. I'm half surprised he didn't get a pit lane speeding penalty either, because we saw a similar thing happening to Pete's Bayman at Zandvoort, where he locked the wheels, had to get out of it to avoid the wall. And I thought that might be the same situation with Kevin S. Jr. But yeah, very, very tight there. And they still come out in first and second positions, just showing the pace difference between those two guys and the rest of the field.
Yeah, if he had damage, that was going to be a much longer stop, and I think that Finch would have ahead of...
Sorry, Mark, I think we're getting some connection issues. It might be on my end, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think you're just breaking up a little bit.
Not willing to them as well.
So yeah, Mark is just having a couple of internet issues. I'm sure he'll be back with us in a second. But at least that pit stops kind of does show that Harrison Finch has got the pace today, which we haven't seen too much this season. Harrison has been absolutely superb in all these races. But against the pro guys, particularly Kevin S. Jr., I think at Imola it was, I think Kevin managed to pull away very comfortably. Actually, I think it was Silverstone when that happened. So at least Harrison is giving him a run for his money, really showing how he could be a pro driver next season.
I hope that you guys can hear me now.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Internet sometimes is a strange beast. Looking now at Kevin Ellis Jr. So Finch like I said, would have been able to, like I tried to say before, it would have been in front of him by quite a few seconds if Ellis had any damage to the front wing. Now, if you see that, if you say, Sam, that he didn't hit with the front left, then it should be okay. Because otherwise, I think he would have been struggling with tire wear, also, and also with, you know, driving the car in a straight line if he damaged the front left whilst going into the pits.
Yeah, he didn't really hit the front left tyre necessarily. I just saw it. You know what? I'm not even sure if the front wing hits it or not. It might just be worth you going back, Marco, just to view it. Because, yeah, I just saw the front wing just go a little bit deformed just as he went past the wall. So I don't think there's going to be any steering damage. And certainly judging by his pace, he's not struggling. He's opened up the gap to Harrison Finch to 4 seconds now. So there seems to be no issues whatsoever in that department. But yeah, I really thought he was going to have to take a new front wing, which of course in these cars would have cost him another 0.6 of a second. I thought he might even get a speeding penalty as well, which would have been 15 seconds. So still Kevin Jr. unscathed though, because he did make a mistake yesterday on old tyres, not risking the zero stopper today. And yeah, he's still looking very strong out in the lead. We did get a little bit of feedback to our fixed setup questions, and yeah, certainly someone does not is not pleased with it changing to fixed setup. Certainly wants to keep it open setup, but yeah, it'll be yeah, a lot of people with differing opinions. And maybe the practice opportunities for these guys who want to do the World Championship, those aren't going to be open to them anymore. We'll have to wait and see. But Kevin Jr. was already a pro driver, and on that lap he pulled away by another 0.4 of a second over Harrison Finch. Gap up to 4.4 seconds. And of course, we can't unfortunately change from Kevin Jr. There's not too much going on up and down the field though. Numela a little bit under pressure from Harjanvara. So yeah, 0.8 of a second between those two after Alexandra's probably fixed some damage from his incident earlier on. So that could be a change for position for 4th and 5th. But apart from that, Chris Allen just behind in 6th with Christian Ritsima in 7th. Pretty big gaps between those drivers. Only really David Kudmore and Donald Artseth really the only 2 drivers fighting with each other currently. I also see Donald Arthurst has got a top speed of 784 kilometers an hour. I doubt that is the case.
Or he will have a tough time passing post-race inspection. So it's one of the two.
Actually, this software that we've got is absolutely incredible. And I've never really noticed the top speeds, and we should really look at them. I guess it does kind of depend on if a driver's got DRS or not, but Ricardo Orozco 3.54 top speed with Kevin Jr. and Harrison Finch with 3.43. Of course, that might just be because of the DRS. We don't know. They maybe got a nice little toe behind the back marker. But if we look at that from face value, it kind of implies that yeah, Ricardo's got a bit of a lower downforce package on that car, Marco.
Yeah, it might, and of course, lower downforce, you are going to struggle mightily on the infield section, and then of course we are going to fly in the oval and front stretch section. So it's we saw that yesterday in the WCS race, of course. Drivers with different kind of aero package perform wildly different in the various part of the track. I think it's going to be it's better if you can have a bit of a better car in the infield section, because then you have to stay close there in order to get the advantage from the DRS in the front stretch. But if you have too much, you know, a higher a downforce level that is too high, it's going to be tough, even with the DRS, to make the pass. Even though we've seen the DRS being absolutely overpowered on this track, sometimes it can be a problem. But usually I would go for the higher downforce package around here.
So lap 29 of this 48 lap race. It's still Kevin S. Jr. leading the way by 4.4 seconds. So the gap kind of maintained. We have got maybe a move going on for fourth position. New Miller oh, you gotta remind me again, Mark. I keep pronouncing it wrong. Alexandros
Hajivernava.
Hajivernara. Okay, I'll try to remember that. I'll say it when I go to sleep or something. That's meant to work, I think. But yeah, 0.3 of a second between those two drivers. Still Hajivernara not making that move quite. It's such a big difference. They're going to be lapped by the end of this race, which really does show, one, the shortness of this circuit, Marco, and two, the pace differential, because I'm just looking at the stats right now. Kevin S. Jr., 29.5 laps completed. Marco Numella, 28.9. So by the end of this race, they are going to be lapped up to P4. So that's in an hour-long race, really does show kind of the difference, how difficult it is to drive this car and how difficult it is to set it up as well.
Absolutely, and this being a short track, so to speak, it's going to be very easy to run into traffic. We saw that yesterday in the World Championship event. But Ellis is having a absolutely fantastic pace already in the final 18 laps of this event, and he's going absolutely super fast today. As we see now, Kevin Ellis Jr. completing once again the backstretch and then into the S section. Now this track is similar but not identical to the track that Formula One used to race back in the days where they went to Indianapolis for the regular scheduled Grand Prix. There has been a couple of little modifications made for the MotoGP track, and so it has been reflected in the scan by iRacing, but it's, I mean, in the end, quite similar to what we used to run, and certainly the changes, Sam, have not been for the better, even though I know you're a big fan of the bike track.
Oh, don't get me started, Mark. Did they even go there?
There's a reason why it's called a bike track, and so I don't understand why some series are using it on iRacing for their car racing. I mean, it would be almost as bad as, the Mugello in Italy, a fantastic track, but it's a bike track. Come on. So when people are, stomping their feet on the forums because they want Mugello scanned for iRacing, I mean, I go to see race there almost once per year usually, no? And the racing action is not very good at Mugello, even though it's a fantastic track with elevation changes, all the thing you can want. But it's a bike track. It's absolutely impossible for the cars to have a decent race there. And the only true passing spot, I think, is the first corner. So be careful what you wish for.
Yes, yeah. Well, of course, we discussed this yesterday, and we don't really like any combination. At Silverstone last week, I did actually go to one of the rigs. I think it was on like Forza 5 or whatever. And there was actually the new Indianapolis circuit. iRacing can't get, so I might change to Forza. And yeah, it was still not exactly great. It's just so many slow corners. There's just slow corner after slow corner. It's still the same corner, but just put in different ways, so whether it's left or right. So, dear. I'm glad though that of course we have got the cameras back.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Good work by Scott Newton.
Yes, absolutely.
Solving the problem behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't know if we could just go back to what's happened through the race, just to see kind of the incidents, particularly with Ronaldo Augusta and Alex Ortega. See their kind of incidents, because it was quite interesting earlier on. Because yeah, we can't miss that. Apart from that, there hasn't really been too much going on. Of course, when you get these types of races, 13 cars, often they can be a little bit spread out. Fortunately, we've got a kind of a bit of a race for the race victory. But apart from that, they are a little bit spread out, apart from maybe 4th and 5th currently.
And I mean, going back to the topic of Indianapolis, I remember when this race was first organized back in the year 2000, and all the excitement that was building up in the couple of years previously when it was announced, basically. And I kept thinking, even though I was just, you know, a young kid at the time, but I played some video games where they had all the great IndyCar tracks of the 90s. I think out of all the possible locations in North America, they picked this. But now, being an older, wiser man, I'm glad they picked this one, because I cannot even imagine, begin to imagine what Formula One and FIA could have done to the classic tracks of North America, like Watkins Glen, Road America, Road Atlanta. Road America especially is sort of a national treasure, I think, and we see this replay of Pablo Suarez touching with one of the, I think it was either Nurmela or Raggi Vernava there. So I'm glad that they didn't ruin one of the great North American tracks, even though, you know, if the end result is this, it's not very good. But Nurmela and Raggi Vernava, you see, are teammates and are 4th and 5th respectively, and they've been running close all race, and the same has happened last week.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're just being a bit gentlemanly to each other, not wanting to race. I imagine Raggi Navarro would like to have that position, but he's been very courteous so far and just sitting in behind. Of course, he did start ahead of his teammates, but of course an incident on about lap 5 of the race, I think it was, managed to just dropping down the field, was lucky to get away with not too much damage. We'll see if he just lifts off here. I don't know if we could get maybe an onboard with Alexandros. Just see if he does kind of just lift off maybe halfway down the straight to make sure that he doesn't pull the move on his teammate. Already both of them recovering quite a bit of energy just through that final corner, and still recovering energy. You can see the flashing lights, and Alexandros will move closer, and he will go for the move. So no defense put up, and Alexandra Raggi moves up into 4th position.
Nice move, and between teammates you want to avoid contact as much as possible. So Ellis Jr. 5 seconds over Finch, then it's Orozco 16 seconds behind, and then we have these two guys here 54 seconds back. Then Crison is 1.07 minutes back, and then everyone else is 1 lap down. So I think that Ellis is about to lap the driver in P6. And what a fantastic race Kevin Ellis Jr. is having. You see him right now, and he's going to make quick work. Of course, the blue flags will be flashing left and right for these guys. And we will enter the final 10 laps of this event. Kevin Ellis Jr. has been absolutely dominant today. Here he goes, a little bit of a scary moment in the pits. But apart from that, it's been absolutely smooth sailing for the Apex Racing UK driver. 107.9 for him, 107.6 for Finch. That he had clean air, of course. Finch having a very good race himself. Orozco 108.2, and then we'll have to wait quite a bit for the two teammates Raggi Vernava and Nurmela to cross the start-finish line. With Raggi Vernava has been able to pull a bit of a gap over his teammate now in P5, so he's running away and securing this 4th position.
Yep, looking very strong is Alexandros. Unfortunately, hasn't got the pace of the top 3, but still a strong 4th coming his way. Finch occasionally can outlap Kevin S. Jr. on that last lap. He was 3/10 faster, but it's just that consistency. I remember when they came out of the pits earlier on, it was about 4 seconds. So it's only gone up by about a second in the past 15 laps or so. But yeah, he just hasn't quite got the consistency there, Harrison Finch, to really reel down his opponent on that last lap. LS Jr. did manage to pull out just a 10th of a second, but at least Harrison has been able to challenge him really well so far in this race. Kudmore and Lumbaris Suarez are having a nice little battle. That's only 8/10 between those guys, with Donald Arter just looking behind as well. Not sure if we've seen any overtakes between these drivers yet, but so yeah, it was Lumbaris Suarez who made the move on Arter, I think we saw earlier on, and now moving on to his next victim.
Yeah, still a bit far away, but this battle, albeit these cars are a lap down, is for position, so it's worth following, absolutely. And 1 second at the end of the front stretch, so Suarez has to work a bit. Car with clear color reference to a certain Spanish driver, whom Sam watched win the race the other week, but then, of course, is in typical Alonso fashion, he got disqualified from the WEC race at Silverstone. But still, I think you enjoyed a nice weekend out there. It's always nice, I think, to see those cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'd never done that before. Went all 3 days, so certainly got all the action, and plus the ELMS as well. So that was
I am a big fan of the ELMS. I would have loved to watch the ELMS live more than the WEC.
Yeah, it was a bit annoying with the WEC because it was looking really close for the GTE Pro with about 1.5 hours to go, and then there was a full course caution that kind of just ruined it all. But the ELMS went down to the final few laps, of course, in the GTEs. Just want those P2 cars though, and P3 actually, to be in iRacing. That would be absolutely fantastic if we could have proper ELMS and WEC grids, but unfortunately, just like in that one class, which in my opinion is the best class of them all, but yeah, we'll just have to wait a little bit longer for that. Hopefully next season, or next year, sorry, we'll bring along a DPI or a P2 car.
Yeah, I basically love the ELMS because I think it's the a sort of a European version of the IMSA Sports Car Championship. As we see Orozco now on camera, we are doing a run-up, I think, of the participants in the race. So I like the fact that you can spend relatively a little and you can have these massive grids of prototypes. Like, it's unbelievable how many cars are there, and the engine notes, the Gibson V8, but also the Nissan V8 on the LMP3s, that growling V8. Fantastic. And you get a few GTs thrown in as well, so it's never bad, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, 4-hour races as well, good length. Yeah. Of course, WEC, it's 6 hours of source, and it's not going to be 6 hours next year. It's going to be 4 hours instead, but apparently news of like the Continental GT Cup, or whatever it's called, that might be there as well. Those are 2-hour races, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, more action, I think, probably packed into 4 hours, so I'll still be very, very good there.
As we are just 6 laps away from the end of this event, as Kevin Ellis Jr. is your leader, Finch is in second. Kevin Ellis Jr. is already halfway through his lap. Finch is behind him, 5 seconds back. And Orozco is 20 seconds away from these guys. So let's go on board a bit with Harrison Finch and see these, how he's trying to get, these drivers are trying to get the most they can out of the track. See, they are being pretty liberal with the track limits. Of course, this is allowed, but you have to be careful. If you go a bit too cut too much there, you get off track, or even worse, a slowdown. 0.7 1:09. Ellis times are fantastic, and you see the gap increasing between P1 and P3 lap by lap. We are only 5 away right now, and it's looking like a victory for Kevin Ellis Jr. He already won. I think he was a winner in Silverstone this season, so could be the second win at the very least of the races we streamed on Apex Racing TV. And also don't forget tonight at 20 GMT we're going to have round 2 of the BSR GT3 showdown, of course, and it's going to be myself and Mr. Fitzpatrick in the booth. So if you've had enough of us today, I'm sorry, but you will have to deal even in the evening. But we give you like a nice stretch of time to rest between the 2 races as Finch completes another lap.
Yeah, rest your ears from our, droning and whatnot. That's certainly at least what I do. And yeah, that will be a good race in the BSR GT, hopefully, because it's changed to Porsches next season. So yeah, if you are interested in a Porsche league on a Sunday evening, certainly do go on the BSR website or the BSR Facebook group and whatnot, and certainly sign up for that. It should be a really good season. Will be fixed set up as well, because this season, because the GT3s and Michael Doggett leading that championship currently, despite a couple of incidents, and we have seen another incident there. David Cudmore round in the penultimate corner, or the third to last corner, whatever that corner is, and yeah, that's really cost him a chance to go and beat Donald Arthur and even Pablo Lumbaras Suarez.
Yeah, and that's what all tires do to you. 44 laps in, and he lost the car so suddenly. No damage because you went back on the track, and no one behind him, so you just lost the 1 position. But that's going to be his race, I think, because it's going to be extremely difficult for Cudmore to get back to Donald Arset in P10 right now. So cameras are back on Marco Nurbela. You see him right now. I think he has to. He's just been passed by Kevin Ellis Jr. So he's been put 1 lap down. He's 5 seconds back from Algi Varnava. So maybe Ellis can also get back to Algi Varnava for the to lap the guy in 4th position. Even though the laps are quickly ticking down. We are going to be 3 to go at the next time around. Ritzema in P7 right now, closing the gap on Chris Aoun, at least in the short section. But now I think Aoun has opted for a lower downforce package, and you see him. Maybe not pulling away on the straight. I mean, that gap was going up and down all throughout the last part of this lap. Ritzema seems a bit faster, but Sam, I think it's too little too late to pass on for 6th place. So Ritzema will have to deal with P7, I think, in the end, as another lap starts.
Yeah, lost 1.5 tenths on that last lap. He seemed to be faster on that last lap, and he also has a higher top speed. So, yeah, top speed of the race. So, clearly, maybe running a little bit lower downforce, but through the corners, just in this first sector, he's already lost 2 tenths of a second. So, he just cannot mount a proper attack. Kind of seen a few battles out there, even the one for the lead, where the drives have been relatively similar, but it's just that 10th or 2, and with a race of maybe not too much incidents like this, it is a complete just, it's not exactly a practice session, but it's just about your time against the stopwatch, and yeah, you're going very much against the stopwatch, and unfortunately that means there hasn't quite been as many battles as we would have liked, but yeah, it seemed like dropping a little bit further back on this, up 2.2 seconds behind. He's going to lose another 1.5 tenths across the line. Now, ultimate lap for the leaders, sorry.
Yeah, it will be white flag this time around. Next time Kevin Ellis Jr. crosses the start-finish line.
Of course, looking forward to the final round of the championship. Marco, is it at Sebring, I think, next week? I'm not quite sure.
Circuit of the Americas, I
Circuit
think.
of the Americas. I don't know why I thought it was Sebring, but
I would have loved to have Formula 1 at Sebring, but...
Well, it was on the World Championship schedule last year, so it has been done before. It kind of works, but yeah, it shouldn't really be there. But Circuit of the Americas, one that a lot of people hate, and not many people like. I don't mind it personally as a spectator, at least, and as a commentator, it usually provides good racing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, how the drivers do on there. We had a word from Alex Simpson actually, where he was very much that very much comes down to how the driver is driving. It's a driver's circuit. They've got to be absolutely peak on their game to really extract the most out of the car around that circuit.
Yeah, as Kevin Ellis Jr. is completing the final corners of his final lap, dominant performance all around, super scary moment at the pit entrance a few laps ago. He got away with it and he's going to win the race.
Yep, here comes Kevin Ellis Jr. onto the banking here at Indianapolis. He also sixth yesterday, a fantastic sixth place in the World Championship, but today it's going to be the race victory for him in the iRacing Grand Prix Series, with Harrison Finch finishing some 6 seconds behind in the end. Boy, did he push him. Ricardo Roscoe, yeah, that's a back marker, unfortunately. It's not pole position. He's going to finish in third position, a comfortable third. Maybe a little bit further off the leaders than he would have hoped, Ricardo, but it's still a solid performance for him after a decent result yesterday as well in the World Championship, with Andreas Harjenbauer going to finish in fourth position. Donald Arthur still trying to pressure Pablo Lombard Suarez, but unless he's got some kind of extra boost, Marco, I don't think it's going to be enough in these closing stages.
Yeah, he needs to push extremely hard, but time is running out, only a few corners left, and of course with the start-finish line in the final lap, you don't have the possibility, of course, of making your move down into turn 1, so using the DRS to its full effect. And of course, yes, that means that Suarez is going to finish in P9 and Arset, of course, P10, and that is everyone across the start-finish line.
Oh, we are going to be a little bit quick today because, of course, the F1, the real-life F1, does start in a couple of minutes, so it'll be nice and quick through the standings. And it is Kevin S. Jr. winning the race 6 seconds clear of Harrison Finch. Ricardo Roscoe was the only other driver on the lead lap, with Andreas Harjenbauer in fourth. Then it's Michael Numela in fifth. Then it's Chris Allen, Christian Witzima, Alan Morgan, Pablo Lombard Suarez, Donald Arseth, David Cudmore, Rinaldo Augusto, and Alex Ortega rounding out the 13-car field. Marco, any closing thoughts from today's race?
Yes, remove this track altogether from existence, but congratulations to the drivers because they put on a decent show, and thanks to everyone who hanged out with us, and of course thanks to Scott Newton for solving in timely fashion the technical problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for those incidents. Sorry for those issues earlier on. But yeah, still managed to get them fixed. So thanks, Scott, for that. And yeah, we'll see you later this evening. Of course, we've also got the World GT tomorrow. So certainly tune in for that. But from me, from Marco, and from Scott, we'll say goodbye for now. And we'll see you next time. Oh, that was the quickest ending to a broadcast.
Yeah.